Hello everyone, my name is James Madrano and welcome to my level mechanic demonstration. I have been tasked with designing and implementing a new mechanic into this tile-based game project. The mechanic I've introduced is the ability to swap the state of tiles that movable objects can enter. For example, if a tile is set to enterable, then movable objects such as the player character and interactable boxes can move in and out of it freely. However, if the tile is set to unenterable, then it blocks the player character and interruptible boxes from moving into the tile space. But rather than explaining it, allow me to demonstrate it. This first level instance serves as an introduction action block to the mechanic. The player can see that there's no way to progress forward and reach the goal until they interact with our mechanic tile, which raises these swap tiles and allows them to progress. This is to demonstrate that while the lowered the player character cannot enter these spaces, and when they rise up, there is a small delay until the player character can enter them. This second level instance serves as a practice action block for the mechanic, and is mainly to demonstrate that control over these swap tiles can not only overlap, but be spread out across multiple of these mechanic tiles. So how does it all work? The components of our mechanic tile are rather simple. The top part is made up of 4 planes, 2 white and 2 black, that serve as feedback to the player when the player character enters our tile. They flip over, indicating that something's been changed. The base is a gray square, which mainly serves as a place for the player character to stand on, so that when the animation of the flip is happening, it doesn't look like they're floating over the void. The construction of the swappable tile is a culmination of the floor tile and pit tile already seen in the level. However, they differ in the fact that their color is different, not only on the floor section, but also the pit section. This is to indicate to the player that these are not your typical floor and or pit tiles, and that they serve some purpose in the level. Moving into the blueprints of our mechanic, we begin with this interface, triggerable, which implements this function on trigger. This function has no inputs or outputs. Moving into our actual mechanic tile, we see that event begin play and event on exit simply get a call to the parent function and move on. Our event on entered gets a call to the parent function on entered and goes through this flip-flop between playing and reversing this tile flip animation timeline. This timeline gets sent through a lerp rotator and sets the relative rotation of our actual 4 planes, acting as feedback for the player. Furthermore, a message gets sent out for on trigger to all the triggerables. Moving on to our actual swappable tile, we'll begin in our construction script, which gets a call to the parent's construction script and runs through this branch statement, which checks this boolean walkable tile. If it's true, our platform begins in the up position. If it's false, it begins in the bottom position. Additionally, if it's raised, can enter is true and the player can enter this tile. However, if it's false, can enter is set to false and the player is not able to enter this tile. Moving into the event graph, we have begin play, which gets a call to the parent's begin play and ends right there. However, here we have this message, or this interface event on trigger, which comes from our mechanic tile. And when this is called, it goes through this branch statement, which checks walkable tile. If walkable tile is true, it plays this animation timeline from start. And if it's false, it reverses this tile animation from the end. This tile animation is simply going through a lerp and updating the Z location of our actual platform. Additionally, sound is spawned in and played, which gives the player feedback that interacting with mechanic tile has caused something to happen. If the platform is lowered, it sets can enter to false and walkable tile to false, which updates the location. On the other hand, if walkable tile is set to false, the sound will play. After a short delay, can enter and walkable tile will be set to true. This is simply to prevent the player from entering it while the platform is raising and seemingly floating on top of it. That concludes the demonstration and explanation of my mechanic. As always, any and all feedback is always appreciated. Thank you.